Hello everyone. So we are continuing with chapter 4 exercises. You should have done the first 5 by now, and then we are going through exercise 6, 7, and 8. And 9 as well. You don't have to do all of them. It's a good idea. This is my favorite, exercise 7. All the exercises in chapter 4 works exactly the same. So the first thing you need to do is create the form and put the proper objects on it. I've done it for you, so you don't have to watch me doing it. What have I done? Well, I created the form. I changed the text property, so now it shows change. Then I added 9 labels. You say, where are the 9 labels, miss? Well, they're there. Watch this. The first one is the prompt. Why do we call it a prompt? Yeah, it's right here, because it tells the user what to enter into the text box. Now we've got quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. Oh, but I didn't tell you what we are supposed to do. Well, this project, asks the user to enter the cents. Maybe he or she had it in a jar with all those cents. Some of you might not have seen cents. Well, we don't have them in Canada anymore, but it doesn't matter. Let's imagine we do. And then you've got a jar of cents, and you want to change them into coins. What coins? Well, we have bigger coins than just cents. We've got nickels, dimes, and quarters. All right. So here we've got quarters, dimes, nickels, and whatever pennies cannot be exchanged for the bigger coins. And then, this is one of the new labels. It's empty. What is it going to have? It's going to have the number of quarters based on the number that was entered into the text box. Then we've got dimes and nickels and pennies. So what happens? Let's say someone enters 75 cents. Well, we know in quarters there are 25, so we are going to have 3 quarters, 0 dimes, 0 nickels, and 0 pennies. But if someone enters 76, then we are going to have still 3 quarters, 0 dimes, 0 nickels, and 1 penny. Okay, that's the leftover after divided it by 25. Good. The next step when we do exercises in chapter 4 is to figure out what objects will be programmed. And I'm going to tell you there are 2 objects that will be programmed. One is very obvious, which is the coins. This is the button that will click to start the procedure, to start calculating. Okay, so what's the other one? This one. This is a text box, means text change procedure. When we want to enter a brand new number, those labels should be nicely cleared. All right, so shall we start? Good. Let's start with this button. All right. Now, before we continue, it is a good idea to add your comments. We use just 2, the name and the date that you created the project. That's about it. And then let's tell the computer what to do when we click on the BTN coins, what is supposed to happen. First, we have to declare variables. Why? Well, let's look at the picture. Do we know this number? No. If we don't know this number, we don't know this and this and this and that number. Oh, isn't it simple? How many variables do you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's about it. Now, when we decide to create variables in Visual Basic, we need to decide what type of a variable it's going to be. The first thing we have to figure out, is it going to be an integer number or a decimal number? Well, let's think. Cent. Think about the coin, 1 cent coin. Can we have half a cent? No. Quarters? No. Dimes? No. Nickels? No. Oh, no, of course, pennies? No. Which means all of those numbers are integer numbers. That's easy. Let's do the programming. So, what's the magic word to declare a variable? Dim. Very good. Dim. And now it's very easy to declare them all. All of them are integer. So what are the three letters that we are going to use as a prefix before the name? That's right, int. And the first one was int cents. The next one, int quarters. And the next one, spelling mistake. All right. And then the next one is going to be dimes. int nickels. And finally, int pennies. All right. Spelling mistake again. Not good. And here we forgot to add the int. Have you noticed? Good. So we've got int cents, int quarters, int dimes, int nickels, int pennies, and now we have to tell the computer it's going to be an integer. Notice that's what the computer is expecting, and we'll type integer. Very good. Notice I'm adding one extra line, empty line, so I can clearly see this is the first part of my programming. This is to declare the variables. The second part will be to give them values. I could actually list them all in cents, in quarters, in dimes, in nickels, in pennies. That's right, because the computer needs to know if you declare the variables, what are the values of those variables. So let's start with int cents. Okay, where do they come from? Let's check. Let's look at the picture. Where do they come from? Enter the change in cents. From here. And what's that? It's a text box. Very good. But it has to be a value of the text box. We don't want our computer to crash because we didn't put VAL when we assign the value of the text box into cents. And then we are going to tell the computer it's going to be, well, the text box. You can start with me. That's right. Because now when I type TX, immediately it shows. Me shows all the objects on your form. And now we need to use the property of the text box. So we press dot and then type text, and that's it. All right, I just put an extra space that is not needed. So int cents is equal to the value from the text property of the text box. Let's look at the picture again. That's right. Now, what is the value of quarters? Do you see any more text boxes? So what does it tell you? We have to calculate. Okay, how are we going to calculate? 75, remember my example? 75 needs to be divided by 25 to get the 3. Yep, the 3 quarters. That's what we are going to do. But we are not going to use a regular division. We are going to use an integer division. So first let's start with int quarters equals to. What was the text box variable? Int cents. Okay. Now, integer division is on top of enter sign, and we are going to divide it by 25. Very good. Now, why 25? Because a quarter is 25 cents. Why integer division? Because we want to know how many full 25s can fit in cents. We don't want to have decimal points that would ruin our program. So, shall we continue? Good. Now, quarters was easy. How about int dimes? What are we going to do as a calculation? Should we go in cents divided by 10? Let's look at the picture. Remember, if we enter 75 here, then we are going to have 3 here, 0 here, 0 here, 0 here. If we have dimes as cents divided by 10, then it will be, we've got a problem because it will be 3 here and then 7 here. Wrong. So we have to tell the computer, first, I'm sorry, int, yeah, my spelling today is not good. In cents, you know what we are going to use? Not the integer division. We are going to use modulus division. Mod 25, of course we want it in brackets. All right. How come? Because integer division is higher than modulus division. If we don't put the brackets, the computer is going to do the integer division first. And then we are going to divide it by 10. So what's the logic behind it? Once you get the cents divided by quarters, whatever is left over divided by 10. Aha, that will work. Now you see the pattern. Int, next one is nickels. Okay, and I'm going to put equal. And what are we going to do? This time we are going to have 2 brackets. First int cents, mod 25, and then we close it, and then mod, that's right, 10, and finally after the bracket we are going to use the integer division by 5. So what's going on here? First we divide the cents by 25 to get the quarters. Whatever is left over, we divide by 10 to get the dimes. And whatever is left over, we divide by 5 to see the nickels. And finally, int pennies. Okay, see the pattern again? 2. Only 2, you'll see. Int cents, mod 25, close the brackets, mod 10, close the brackets, and then we've got another mod, what? Mod 5. Now, how come we are not dividing it by 1? Well, because the number divided by 1 is the same number, so there's no need for that. Wow, you know, we finished actually all the programming for the button. The only thing what we need to do is display it. So declare the variables, give them values, and now display. Where are we displaying it? In the labels. What labels? The labels that are supposed to have the numbers of quarters, dimes, nickels, and pennies. So let's do it. Me.L, that's right. Watch here. The moment I type L, I get all those labels, and here it is, number of quarters. Remember, it's a text property that we are supposed to show it into. So equals to, well, what have we calculated? In quarters. And enter. The next one, me.L, this one will be number of what? Of dimes. Okay, and let's check LB. Okay, LBL, number of dimes, dot text again, equals, this time int dimes. All right, notice I'm just entering a few letters of the word, and then the computer is able to figure out what's the next. Okay, me.LBL. Okay, this time we choose the nickels, number of nickels, dot text equals to what? Int nickels. And finally, me.LB LBB, of course, and that's pennies. Int dot text equals int pennies. In a int pennies. Beautiful. So we just calculated the quarters, dimes, and nickels and pennies, and we displayed it. Shall we look? Of course. Let's start. Yes, the first time you're running it, the first time you're running the program that you just created, it's a little bit slow. Don't worry, it's coming. Beautiful. Let's use number 92, the number from the book, and click. 3, 1, 1, and 2. Very good. So it's very easy. 92 minus 75 minus 10 minus 5 and minus 2 is equal to 0. I mean, 3 times 25, 1 times 10, 1 times 5, and 2 times 1. That's what is going to give you a 0. Good. Now let's change the number to, let's say, 65. Oh, what's going on? You don't like it, do you? I don't like it either. See, when I enter a brand new number, those labels should be nicely cleaned so I don't confuse myself. Oh, well, any user is not going to be confused. Of course, you say, but miss, you can click on coins and it will change. Sure, it will. But before I click on it, it's still confusing. So yes, when I click on coins, of course, the numbers change. Now, but we can fix it. How? Let's stop this and let's go right here. So what we need to program is the text box. Double click on the text box. Yep. When you want to change the text in the TXT sense, what should be cleared? The labels with the answers. I'm going to do it faster, which means I will just copy the labels and paste it. But I have to replace oh yes, the computer doesn't like those variables. Okay, I'm going to replace it with empty strings. Just quotation, quotation, nothing else. You could use the word nothing as well. It's not a big deal. So, shall we? Now it should work. All right. Hey, it's supposed to be faster. Okay, it is faster. Let's go with 75. Remember? Yep, 3000. Very good. How about 89? That's a new one. 3 quarters, 1 dime, and 4 pennies. 3 times 25, 1 times 10, and 4 pennies will give you 89. And that's it for exercise 7. Enjoy doing it.